As ecologists, we may be interested in analysing the biodiversity in two different areas. Simpson's Index is a tool that ecologists commonly use to do this. However, before we examine Simpson's Index in more detail, it may be worth reminding ourselves what biodiversity actually is. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature defines biodiversity or biological diversity as the variety of life in all its forms, levels and combinations, including ecosystem diversity, species diversity and genetic diversity. Simpson's Index can be used to look at the difference between biodiversity from each of these types of diversity. So, how does it actually work? Well, Simpson's Index is a fairly simple way to estimate species diversity in an ecosystem. It has a fairly simple formula with only two input values. One input value is the notation capital N, which this is the total number of individuals within that ecosystem. And then lowercase n, which is the total number of individuals of each species within the ecosystem. And Simpson's Index in reality generates a ratio between those two. So let's look at it in more detail. Let's do an example. Here we have two ecosystems, two very simple ecosystems with just 4 species. Total number of individuals in each ecosystem is roughly 100, but just by looking at the numbers we can see that the two ecosystems are very different. Ecosystem 1 has 23 individuals from species A, 28 from species B, 22 from species C, 27 from species D, whereas ecosystem 2 only has 2 individuals from A, 2 individuals from B, 1 individual from C, but 93 individuals of species D. So, how do we perform Simpson's Index? Well, taking all this information, let's do the example for number 1. The total number of individuals within that ecosystem is 100. So, on the top row of our equation we have 100 multiplied by 100 minus 1, or n multiplied by n minus 1. In the next row we have the summation of the total numbers of all the individuals of each species. So 23 times 23 minus 1, plus 28 times 28 minus 1, plus 22 times 22 minus 1, plus 27 times 27 minus 1. Okay, that gives us a Simpson's diversity index of 4.08. But what does that actually mean? What is a diversity index of 4.08? Well, Simpson's Index works like this, that the larger the number, the greater the diversity. So it is possible to compare two different ecosystems or more against each other and say which ecosystem relative to the other is the most diverse. So what about the other ecosystem, ecosystem 2? What's the diversity index for that? Well, maybe that's something you need to work out for yourself.